Coming to you live from our Auckland Park studios, this is Prime News on SABC 3. Here are the top stories.
If the president is willing to remove a DA deputy minister for doing his job, but isn't prepared to move other ministers and deputy ministers for not doing theirs.
The Democratic Alliance has issued a 48-hour ultimatum to the ANC following what it calls an unjust firing of its member, Andrew Whitfield, as Deputy Minister of Trade, Industry and Competition. Former ANC President Jacob Zuma is taking his fight for his reinstatement as an ANC member to the courts.
Today, the preamble of the 1996 Constitution recognizes the imperative need to heal the wounds of the past through redress.
Today marks exactly 70 years since political formations met at the Walter Sisulu Square for a Congress of the People and adopted the Freedom Charter. The Cape Town City's Disaster Risk Management Centre continues to respond to weather-related incidents with reports of localized flooding in a number of areas. It's primetime action here on Prime News on 3. A very warm welcome to you. My name is Becky Mutumomolete, and I'll be guiding you through the top stories that are shaping global events in our world today. Let's take a look. Deputy Minister of Trade and Industry Andrew Whitfield has been sacked from the Government of National Unity. This was confirmed by the presidency, which stated that the decision was made by President Cyril Ramaphosa in terms of Section 93 of the Constitution. The president has thanked the former deputy minister for the time he served in the role. However, questions over a possible cabinet reshuffle remain unanswered, as the presidency noted that the president has not indicated any intention to make overall changes to his cabinet. But following the decision, the DA Federal Executive Council chairperson Helen Ziller convened an urgent meeting of the party's FedEx. Meanwhile, the Democratic Alliance has issued a 48-hour ultimatum to the ANC following what it calls the unjust firing of its member. DA leader John Steenhuisen took to the podium during the Division of Revenue Bill debate today, calling the move a calculated political assault on the party. The DA has issued President Cyril Ramaphosa with an ultimatum to fire all ministers and deputy ministers in his cabinet implicated in corruption scandals within the next 2 days.
Whitfield subsequently wrote to the president to apologize if he had caused offense. Again, he received no response. Then yesterday, months after the incident, and without a further word on it, the president unilaterally removed a DA deputy minister without even giving his largest coalition partner an opportunity to discuss it with the member or his party.
Order, honourable members.
Now, according to the president's spokesperson, this move is not part of a broader reshuffle. And there can therefore be no other conclusion to be drawn that this is a calculated assault on the second largest party in the governing coalition.
Order, honourable members.
What makes matters worse is that this unilateral action is a result and a product of a flagrant double standard. While a DA deputy minister is removed for not getting a response to seeking permission to travel, there are members in the cabinet who are implicated in the VBS scandal and looting.
Former ANC President Jacob Zuma is taking his fight for his reinstatement as a member of the ANC to the courts. Zuma announced in a statement that he has launched an application against the ANC and its President Cyril Ramaphosa over the termination of his ANC membership. Zuma was expelled from the party in July last year after he endorsed the MK party and going against the ANC's constitution. Zuma, who had been a member of the ANC for over 6 decades and led the party for 2 terms, was expelled last year after endorsing the MK party in December 2023. Despite his public support for a rival organization, Zuma insisted that he remains a member of the ANC. The ANC has described Zuma's endorsement of the MK party as the highest form of ill discipline, and despite appealing the decision, it was upheld by the party. A defiant Zuma is now taking the party to court. The City of Tshwane Council Speaker Zuma has survived a motion of no confidence brought by the Democratic Alliance. 114 councillors voted against the motion to remove Zuma, whilst 82 voted in favour of the motion. There was only 1 abstention. The DA accuses the Speaker of running the Tshwane Council undemocratically since 2023.
The Tshwane multi-party coalition celebrating the victory of successfully defending the Speaker of Council against the DA-led motion of no confidence.
We want to be able to express ourselves in a democratic council, where we are saying we want to bring an amendment to a report. The Speaker said, you are well within your rights, but because I don't want, I will not allow.
114 councillors from his multi-party coalition voted against the motion, while 82 councillors from the DA and opposition benches voted in favour of the no-confidence motion against the Speaker.
Honourable councillors, the results of the vote on Councillor Mazipatela's motion are as follows: for 82, against 114.
Zwanana dismissed the DA's claims as baseless, asserting that his work in council is guided by rules and not emotions.
As the champion of oversight and holding the executive accountable, I conduct the meetings of council in accordance with the rules and orders by law.
Parties responded to the motion outcome.
We defeated them. As a coalition government that is working for the people of Tshwane, we have defeated the enemy.
The reason why we have removed the DA is because we are of the view that politically there was no stability.
What the DA was trying to do today was to try and dismantle an administration that is effective.
Offense Estimo, SABC News, Pretoria.
In other news, the NPA has confirmed the arrest of a senior crime intelligence official at the OR Tambo International Airport this afternoon. He is expected to appear in a Pretoria court tomorrow. The NPA confirmed the arrest to SABC News. The official, including other senior managers within the South African Police Service, are expected to appear at the Pretoria Central Magistrate Court tomorrow. Details about the possible charges are sketchy, but reports suggest it could be in connection with appointments. It's time for us to take a short break. We'll be back with more after this. Welcome back. Now, as you know, the weather can be a wild card, and we're experiencing the worst of it lately. The City of Cape Town Disaster Risk Management Centre today responded to weather-related incidents with the reports of localized flooding in several areas in Cape Town. These include Fichiskral, Parkwood, Bonitown, IFS, Lotus Park, Klipfontein Road, Pola Park, Imizamo Yethu, Hangberg and Overcome Heights. Fallen trees and storm debris have also been reported in Blue Downs, Constantia, Blackheath, Sunningdale and Belleville. Meanwhile, the KwaZulu-Natal government says it's continuing with efforts to find permanent shelter for flood victims. Premier Tami Ntuli was giving an update on the disaster relief efforts in Durban. Ntuli says since the disaster fund is operated at national level, it slows down the pace of the province's intervention in areas affected by inclement weather.
KwaZulu-Natal continues to deal with the aftermath of multiple devastating floods. Earlier in the year, at least 20 people died, with widespread damage to infrastructure. The hardest hit areas include the Midlands and the southern parts of the province. 2 weeks ago, a storm that ripped through the Midlands left over 100 families destitute. Hundreds of people displaced since the 2022 floods are still being housed in temporary emergency accommodation, as government is still trying to acquire land where permanent houses can be built for the flood victims.
Some support has been given, some services have been offered to the people, such as the daily needs. However, the issue of permanent shelters, especially those who are living in areas such as in Penje, Inuku, in the rural communities, the challenge is that the fund disaster is at a national level. We have to apply as the province.
The provincial government has allocated 227.7 million rand in disaster relief fund to municipalities to address the impact of recent severe weather incidents. Ntuli says these funds will be monitored very closely.
We are of the view that the funds, because they have been given to municipalities, they are being spent in a right way.
Ntuli says they are waiting for the court ruling regarding the future of Ithala Bank. In a press briefing on Monday, the ANC said, following discussions with Finance Minister Enoch Kotongwane, it was confirmed that the bank will be preserved and all customer deposits fully guaranteed. I'm Nonhlane Pamakwaza for SABC News in Durban.
The ANC's review of the Freedom Charter implementation recognizes the party's limitations in enforcing two clauses. The Freedom Charter says the people shall share the country's wealth and the land shall be shared amongst those who live on it. However, black South Africans are denied access to the economy and face land hunger for residential use to agricultural land. The country is celebrating 70 years of the Freedom Charter.
The question of land persists in South Africa, where the black majority is deprived of land ownership. Rapid urbanization has resulted in the fast mushrooming of informal settlements, and those who have access to agricultural land do not have any markets to sell their produce. Agricultural land is still in the main in the hands of the minority, with the black majority as their workforce. The DA and some Afrikaner groups have challenged and labelled unlawful the Expropriation Act, which is meant to address the land hunger in the country.
Today, the preamble of the 1996 Constitution recognizes the imperative need to heal the wounds of the past through redress, while Section 25 of the Constitution provides a framework for land reform and food security.
The economic landscape is still skewed against the black majority. Poverty, inequality and underdevelopment still characterize the indigenous people of South Africa, with the economy in the hands of the minority.
It is therefore encouraging that black ownership in South African mining industry increased from 2% in 2004. Black ownership in the South African mining industry has now grown to 30% in 2024.
The ANC has acknowledged these limitations on land and the economy, but social change, access to healthcare and education are some of the areas where the party has done well in implementing the Freedom Charter. Samkeda Masego, SABC News, Kliptown.
The families of the 21 young people who lost their lives at Enyobeni tavern at Scenery Park in the Eastern Cape have bemoaned the delays in the inquest that seeks to establish whether anyone can be held responsible for the incident. Today marks 3 years since the tragedy, and the victims were remembered in a candlelight memorial ceremony at the St. Peter's Methodist Church in Scenery Park.
3 years have passed, yet the cause of the deaths remains unclear. This makes it difficult for the families to find closure. For some, this day brings unbearable grief.
We still believe that there are still other people who are still supposed to come and give their witnesses. For an example, the Buffalo City municipality, about how they gave the owners of Enyobeni, or allowed them to run a tavern.
The residents of Scenery Park have taken this opportunity to voice out their concerns over the lack of recreational facilities in the area, saying the youth have very little to do.
At least you say, after the tragedy, the children must have great recreation facilities. There is no recreation facilities. The stakeholders that promised such intervention, they are nowhere to be found.
The inquest into their deaths is expected to resume in the East London Regional Court, sitting in Tshwane on Monday. Abongile Yankees, SABC News, Scenery Park.
Parents in Ntsweletsoku village near Zeerast in the northwest are frantically searching for their children who went missing last week. They believe that they might have been kidnapped by people who run illegal initiation schools in the village. About 8 young men are still missing, while 3 others were found yesterday. 14 illegal initiation schools were shut down by the Provincial Initiation Coordinating Committee in 3 districts, and 67 young men were rescued. It's time for us to go to a quick break. We'll be back with more after this. Thank you for staying with us. South African International Relations and Cooperation Minister Ronald Lamola has appealed to the Zambian government and former President Edgar Lungu's family to resolve their differences regarding his final resting place. Zambian Foreign Minister Mulambo Hayimbe says Lusaka is willing to hold discussions with the Lungu family. Bonolo Maribe has more.
This was a memorial service that was supposed to be a funeral. However, an agreement was reached between the Zambian government and the Lungu family to postpone it.
We think as the South African government that from both sides there must be a compromise. This is not a matter that must be resolved by court. The family must compromise on certain issues which they can engage with the Zambian government. The Zambian government must also do the same.
The Zambian government says it's happy with the agreement reached by the parties and is willing to use this time to re-engage with the Lungu family.
I'd like to say clearly on behalf of government at this stage that it remains our wish and will that we re-engage and we find the middle ground, the common ground in the interest of not only the family who equally want to see a befitting send-off to our former president, but also in the interest of the people of Zambia.
Lusaka has also thanked Pretoria for assisting both parties at this super difficult time.
Let me take the opportunity to thank the South African government, the President of South Africa, President Cyril Ramaphosa, and of course my counterpart for being there for us as Zambia from the time that this situation presented itself. The South African government, has been very supportive to not only the government of Zambia, but to the family as well.
Bonolo Maribe, SABC News, Johannesburg.
The skies are constantly telling a story, and our weather whisperer has the scoop. Let's check in. Your weather forecast is next.
Good evening to you from Johannesburg, and it's time to take a look at all your weather details. We've got widespread rainfall behind a second cold front in Cape Town this evening. Be on the lookout for the potential of snowfall along the southern escarpment in towards the eastern escarpment of the country overnight, whilst it'll be clear but cold in towards the northeast of South Africa. Ahead towards tomorrow, and both cold fronts ahead of the weekend are tracking off the coastline of the country, leaving behind it, though, bitterly cold conditions for the central parts and northeastern parts of South Africa. Some isolated showers further north of the KwaZulu-Natal coastline, but that second cold front just brushing off the southern parts of South Africa, leaving behind it, again, a chance of rainfall for the Western Cape. That's a 30% chance of showers in and around Cape Town. Your alerts for this evening: be on the lookout for damaging waves and as well as disruptive rainfall in the Western Cape in towards the Eastern Cape. Damaging winds possible through the Eastern Cape as well as in towards the interior of KwaZulu-Natal, with disruptive snowfall likely through the interior of the Eastern Cape this evening. Ahead towards tomorrow, we've got again disruptive snowfall in towards the interior of the Eastern Cape. Damaging waves and winds remain a possibility from Gqeberha towards Durban on the east coast of South Africa. Ahead towards your overnight temperatures then: Gqeberha down to 9, Cape Town 10 overnight, 1 degree expected in Bethlehem with -1 in Kimberley and Bethlehem. Johannesburg down to 2 degrees this evening, warming up tomorrow to a maximum of just 11, Pretoria up to 14, Richards Bay up to 20, Durban the same, Gqeberha up to 18, and Cape Town up to 14 on Friday. Now ahead towards the middle of the weekend, it remains cold through the central parts of the country. Sunny skies prevailing though, whilst it will be cold ahead of another cold front in towards the Western Cape, with isolated showers expected and wind speeds up to 40 kilometers an hour. Sunny conditions prevail in Durban and the east coast of the country. That's it from me. Have a great evening ahead.
And And that's all we have for tonight. We will be back with you tomorrow evening. Make sure to tune in and stay informed with Prime News on 3. Until then, from myself and the team, stay ahead. Good night.